Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second annual Janesville Waldorf Permanent Social Studies Bee. Today, we have 30 5th through 8th graders competing for the title of JWP Social Studies Champion, as well as one of 3 prizes. For first place, we have a $35 gift card to Barnes & Noble. For runner-up, we have a $25 gift card to Barnes & Noble. And for third place, we have a $15 gift card to Barnes & Noble. But if you are the champion, we have this beautiful plaque, which we will inscribe with your name on it. And you can hold on above your bedside forevermore. You will forever be the 2021 JWP Social Studies Bee champion. A few rules before we begin. Each competitor selected their order of entry randomly, except Aiden. Aiden, of course, is our alternate. Thank you, Aiden, for stepping up. For time purposes, please wait until the end of the round to applaud all competitors. This is a single elimination competition. If a participant gets a question wrong, he or she will return to their seat. Following the conclusion of the round, that individual will either join their class or join the audience. If there is a disagreement, the judges will briefly confer and decide the outcome. All judges' decisions are final. The judges also have the right to disqualify a competitor for refusing to answer a question or attempting to give or receive aid during the bee. Each round will consist of questions from the same category. Each category will be announced prior to the start of the round. We will now begin with our first round, state capital. Let's bring the first competitor to the podium, please, and the second competitor to the on-deck area. Thank you.
Do you want to do like a random order on these capitals? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then do we want to do state or city? Just the capital. Okay. Sounds good. I just wanted to just pick one at random. Okay.
All right, Aiden, and for everyone in this round, for the first round, I'm going to give you the city. You will give me the state. I'm going to give you the capital. You will then give me the state. Okay? Topeka.
Alaska.
I'm sorry, Topeka is the capital of Kansas. Gavin, your capital is Jackson. That is correct. Uriah, your capital is Tallahassee. That is correct. Addison, your capital is Montgomery. Can you say that? I'm sorry, Montgomery is the capital of Alabama.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for bearing with me, students. Reese, your capital is Trenton. That is correct. Garrett, your capital is Baton Rouge. I'm sorry, Baton Rouge is the capital of Louisiana. Rochelle, your capital is Albany.
New York.
That is correct. Trent, your capital is Boston.
Massachusetts.
That is correct. Tyson, your capital is Honolulu.
Hawaii.
That is correct. Claire, your capital is Carson City. Carson City. That is correct. Yes, she said Nevada. Nevada was said. Miles, your capital is Boise.
Idaho.
That is correct. Christian, your capital is Lincoln.
North Dakota.
I'm sorry, Lincoln is the capital of Nebraska. Kale, your capital is Richmond. Richmond is the capital of Virginia. You are correct. Landon, your capital is Madison.
Wisconsin.
That is correct. Gavin Bauer, your capital is Nashville.
Tennessee.
That is correct. Jackson Miller, your capital is Harrisburg.
Carolina.
Which Carolina?
North.
I'm sorry, Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania. Lily, your capital is Cheyenne.
Wyoming.
That is correct. Jason, your capital is Bismarck.
North Dakota.
That is correct. Oh, no, we're gonna get this person in and then we'll start playing. Ready? Blaine, your capital is Denver.
Colorado.
That is correct. Eric, your capital is Phoenix.
Arizona.
That is correct. Landon, your capital is Springfield.
Illinois.
That is correct. Ellie, your capital is Lansing.
Michigan.
That is correct. And competitors, if you need me to repeat it, just let me know. That's no problem at all. Jackson Wolf, correct? Jackson, your capital is Jefferson City.
Missouri.
That is correct. Quinn, your capital is Augusta.
Maine.
That is correct. Claire Grow, your capital is Dover.
Connecticut.
Dover is the capital of Delaware.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I missed that. Oops. I'll get that actually wrong.
Hudson, your capital is Little Rock.
Arkansas.
That is correct. Harley, your capital is Des Moines.
Iowa.
That is correct.
And then I'm looking like a 2 gap. Okay. I'm gonna skip that one in the middle, then bottom one.
Charles, your capital is Salem. Salem. I'm sorry, I could not hear you. That is correct. Anaya, your capital is Austin.
Texas.
That is correct. Oh, yes, I forgot. That's what I forgot. I'm sorry, students, I forgot Riley.
He's the 11th one.
Yep. Riley, normally you're the 11th. I apologize. I bypassed you. My mistake, Riley. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Mr. Adams, can you? All right, Riley, your capital is Pierre.
Say it again.
Yes, Riley, could you? Your capital is Pierre.
Would that be South Dakota?
Yes, South Dakota is correct. That concludes round number 1. Once again, we appreciate everybody having the courage to be a part of this today. If you were eliminated in round number 1, I think, are we going to have them go back to their class or stay and watch?
They can stay and watch.
Okay, please stay and watch. Do you want them to go up more?
Yeah, they can go up a few.
Go up to the middle rows there. You see that gap? And then we'll fill in as needed. Thank you once again for everybody who participated.
Give them one more round.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, yep, yep. Okay, so 6 left. So we have 24 left. So, geography?
Yeah, this one's a little jagged.
Yep, okay. Okay, students, a reminder, Riley, you will follow Claire Leffler. And that's my mistake for the first round. So Riley, we got you in the 11th slot, so you will follow Claire Leffler for this round. The category for our second round will be U.S., Minnesota, and World Geography. And our first one up is Gavin.
No, I'd go through. Yep.
All right, Gavin, your question. What is the largest ocean in the world? I'm sorry, it is the Pacific. Uriah, your question. In which state is the Grand Canyon National Park located?
Arizona.
That is correct. Reese, your question. In which state is Mount Rushmore located?
South Dakota.
That is correct. Rochelle, what is the largest continent in the world?
Asia.
That is correct. Trent, your question. What is the smallest state by area in the United States? That is correct. Rhode Island was the answer. Tyson, what is the largest state by area in the United States?
Alaska.
That is correct.
You can adjust the microphone too.
Claire, your question. What is the longest river in the world?
Mississippi.
I'm sorry, it is the Nile River. We will now go to Riley, followed by Miles. So Miles will have you in the on-deck spot. Riley, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. What is the largest mountain in the United States?
I know it. Would it be Mount Rushmore?
I'm sorry, it would be Mount McKinley, also known
Yeah.
as Denali. Miles is up. Which ocean borders the western United States? States such as California and Oregon.
The Pacific Ocean.
That is correct. Kale, which ocean borders the eastern United States? States such as Florida and South Carolina. Can you say that one more time, please? That is correct. Landon, your question. Well, yeah. We'll just wait till someone gets. Ready to go?
Yep.
Landon, your question. Which U.S. state has the most naturally occurring lakes?
Minnesota.
That is correct. Gavin, your question. What is the most populated country in the world?
Asia.
I'm sorry, it is China. Yeah. Lily, what is the smallest ocean in the world?
The Indian Ocean.
I'm sorry, it is the Arctic Ocean.
Very good.
Jason, your question. What is the largest peninsula in the lower 48 states?
The Florida Keys.
I think so. That is an acceptable answer. Yeah, I think- Okay, Blaine, your question. What is the term used to describe a group of islands? Would you like to take a guess? Okay. What term is used to describe a group of islands? Archipelago.
Yes, thank you.
Eric, your question. Which major river created the Grand Canyon?
Colorado.
That is correct. And then Landon, your question. What is the lowest point in the United States called, which is also known for the highest ever recorded temperature on Earth? What is the lowest point in the United States called, which is also known for the highest ever recorded temperature on Earth?
I did not.
Would you like to take a guess? The answer is Death Valley, California. Ellie, your question. What is the name of the canal in Central America that connects the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean? What is the name of the canal in Central America that connects the Caribbean Sea, Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean? Would you like to take a guess? Do you need me to repeat it at all? The answer is the Panama Canal. Jackson Wolf, your question. What is the largest desert in the world?
Dry desert.
We're going to make a clarification. What is the largest dry desert in the world? So what is the largest dry/hot desert in the world? Okay, would you like to take a guess? You certainly can. The Sahara Desert.
I keep going to the Sahara.
Quinn, your question. What is the only Great Lake that does not border Canada? Would you like to take a guess? Lake Michigan.
You want to do 22, 21?
Hudson, your question. For this answer, you will need to list two. Name 2 of the 6 states that make up New England. Name 2 of the 6 U.S. states that make up New England. Must list 2 consecutively. Name 2 of the 6 U.S. states that make up New England. Would you like to take a guess? There's no penalty for guessing, of course.
Virginia, West Virginia.
I'm sorry, that is not an acceptable response. Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut are the 6 states that make up New England. Harley, your question. What is the longest mountain range in North America?
The Appalachian Mountains.
I'm sorry, it is the Rocky Mountains. All right, Charles.
Oh, thank you, yes.
Charles, your question. What is the longest mountain range in the world? Would you like to take a guess? The longest mountain range in the world, the Andes Mountains. Anaya, your question. What? I apologize, one moment. Yep. 25. Good. What is the name of the lake that has the highest salt content in the United States? What is the name of the lake that has the highest salt content in the United States? I'm sorry, it is the Great Salt Lake of Utah. That concludes round number 2. For everyone live or virtual who was eliminated in round 2, we thank you for competing. If you're a 5th, 6th, or 7th grade, we'd love to have you try again next year. Thank you. You may join the middle area. Make sure you're spaced out appropriately. And then we will begin round number 3. And round number 3's category is U.S. Presidents and World Leaders. One moment, I'm just doing a little housekeeping here, one moment. Oh, is it? You want to go to that category instead? So let me see.
This is good. This is good.
Okay.
This should be good. Riley, you can stay on and watch if you want, or you can leave, whatever you'd like to do.
Where's Landon Winter?
Landon Winter. Oh.
He must have got hated. I met him. Oh, yeah, that's where I missed the 2.
And then Jason. Okay, perfect. And then Eric.
And then, just go a few. Oopsies.
And then Eric is the end of the round. Yes. Yes. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, by my count, is it 10, final 10? 10 left. And Eric is the end of the round? Okay, thank you. So the category is U.S. Presidents and World Leaders. Uriah, your question. Who is our current President of the United States of America? President Joe Biden is correct. Reese, your question. Who was the first African American president in the United States?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama is correct. Rochelle, who was the second president of the United States? Let me repeat that. Who was the second president of the United States?
John Adams.
That is correct. Trent, your question. This person was president of the United States during the Civil War.
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln is correct.
Seems like a step up. I'd go, yeah.
Tyson, your question. Which president was assassinated while attending the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C.? I'll repeat that. Which president was assassinated while attending the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C.?
Abraham Lincoln.
That is correct.
Okay.
Miles, this president was known as the father of our Constitution. He stood tall at 5'4" and was president during the War of 1812. Who was he?
James Madison.
James Madison is correct.
Yeah, that's good.
Cale, your question. Who was the president that served more than 2 terms, helped get America out of the Great Depression, and led us into World War II?
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Franklin D. Roosevelt is correct.
We talked about this in 6th grade.
Landon, who is the only United States president to ever resign from office? Who was the only United States president to ever resign from office?
Richard Nixon.
That is correct. Jason, your question. Who was the main writer of the Declaration of Independence and our 3rd president of the United States?
Thomas Jefferson.
That is correct.
We go over that one too.
Eric, this president signed the Indian Removal Act into law, was a war hero in the War of 1812, and became the 7th president of the United States. This president signed the Indian Removal Act into law, was a war hero in the War of 1812, and became the 7th president of the United States. This president signed the Indian Removal Act into law, was a war hero in the War of 1812, and became the 7th president of the United States.
Andrew Johnson.
I'm sorry, it was Andrew Jackson. That concludes round number 3. If you were eliminated in round number 3, you may go to the middle. Thank you for joining us, my students. Have a good time in your specials today.
This one, right?
Yeah, do you want to tell them how many we have left?
Yes, so here are the competitors remaining to determine who the champion will be. When we get closer to the final rounds, we will go over end of the bee procedure. But Remaining in the competition, we have sixth grader Uriah Wendt, eighth grader Reese March, sixth grader Rochelle Elke, sixth grader Trenton Huber, sixth grader Tyson Johnson, eighth grader Miles Kruger, seventh grader Kale Langford, sixth grader Landon Winter, and sixth grader Jason Wheelock. And Jason, you are now the last one of the round. Our category, Minnesota, U.S., and World History. Uriah will lead the round. Uriah, your question. What is the name of the ship that brought the Pilgrims to America? That is correct. Reese, your question. What year was the American, I'll restart that. What year was America's Declaration of Independence signed?
1776.
That is correct.
You should know this one.
Rochelle, your question. What United States document was written and ratified in 1787? The Constitution of the United States is correct. Trenton, your question. What was the first English settlement in America? What was the first English settlement in America? It was Jamestown, Virginia. Tyson, what U.S. war was fought between the years 1861 and 1865?
It's a war.
That is correct. Miles, your question. There were many abolitionists in the 1800s. What did they want to end?
Slavery.
That is correct. Kale. Your question. The 19th Amendment in 1920 finally allowed women the right to do what?
Vote.
That is correct. Landon, your question. Who refused to give up their seat on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955? I didn't hear you. That is correct.
Could you repeat what he said?
He said Rosa Parks. And a reminder, sometimes we're not saying it for the judges, we're saying it for those at home as well. Jason, your question. A famous escaped slave who was a conductor on the Underground Railroad and helped many slaves to freedom.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman is correct. That concludes round number 4. A thank you to those eliminated in the last round. We thank you for having the courage to be a part of this. A reminder, everyone who participates today will receive a certificate on Monday, commending them for their participation in today's event.
Yep.
Our next category will be civics and government. Uriah will lead the round, and Jason will close the round. Uriah, your question. What is one right or freedom that is guaranteed in the First Amendment?
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech is an acceptable response. We would have also accepted religion, assembly, press, and petition. Reese, your question. We elect a president For how many years per term in the United States?
4 years.
4 years is correct. Rochelle, your question. In what month do we vote for president in the United States?
November.
November is correct. Tyson, your question. What is the name of the Vice President of the United States of America right now? That is correct. Miles, if the president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
The vice president.
That is correct. Kale, your question. Who is the governor of Minnesota? That is correct. Landon, for your question, you must give both answers. Your question. What are the two major political parties in the United States right now?
Democrat and Republican.
That is correct. Jason, your question. How old do citizens have to be to vote for president in the United States?
18.
That is correct. That concludes round number 5. There were no eliminations, so we will go right into round number 6. Our category will be state capitals. You want me to give the state this time? This time, however, I will give the state. You will provide the city. We will begin the round with Uriah. We will close the round with Jason. Alaska. That is correct. Reese, California.
Los Angeles.
It is Sacramento. Rochelle, Connecticut. That is correct. Tyson, Georgia. That is correct. Miles, Kentucky.
Frankfurt.
That is correct. Kale, Maryland. I will repeat that. Your state is Maryland. Would you like to take a guess? Annapolis, the capital of Maryland. There it is. Yep. I would remember. Landon, New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Would you like to take a guess? The capital of New Hampshire is Concord. Jason, your state is North Carolina. That is correct. That concludes round number 6. If you were eliminated in round number 6, you may join the middle if you would like. We appreciate your appreciation in this year's Bee. Now, we are getting close to the end here. We have, I believe, 5 competitors left. I would like to go over end of the Bee procedure. If you are the last one left in the round, you do not necessarily win. You must then answer the championship question. So let's say, for instance, 4 of you get eliminated and 1 of you stays. The one that stays will then have to answer the championship question. If he or she gets it correct, they're the champion, and we'll do a runoff for 2nd and 3rd place. If that person gets the championship question wrong, everyone from the previous round has been entered back in. If we have 2 competitors answer a question right, they will go on to the next round, and then after the Bee, the 3 remaining will battle for 3rd place. If 3 get one correct, those 3 will go on to the next round, the 2 will be exited. So there may be some after the Bee things for 2nd and 3rd place possible. All right, we're going to go to round number 7. So it could be a random.
It could be.
All right, from this point forward, you could receive a question in any of the categories that were mentioned on the program.
Just say we'll state the category.
We will state the category before the question. Uriah will begin the round. Jason will close the round.
This category is U.S., Minnesota, and World Geography.
Uriah, your question will be Minnesota, U.S., and World Geography. That is your category. Your question. What is the name of the river that begins in Lake Itasca, Minnesota, and empties into the Gulf of Mexico?
Mississippi.
The Mississippi River is correct. Rochelle, your question is also from Minnesota, U.S., and World Geography. What is the name of the most populous city in Minnesota?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis is correct. Tyson, your question will also be from the Minnesota, U.S., and World Geography category. Your question, which of the 5 Great Lakes borders Minnesota?
Lake Superior.
Lake Superior is correct. Miles, your question will be from the Minnesota, U.S., and World Geography category. Your question, what continent is located on all 4 hemispheres?
Africa.
That is correct. Jason, your question is from the U.S. Presidents and World Leaders category. This president was assassinated in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd, 1963.
John F. Kennedy.
That is correct.
He's reading the book right now, Killing Kennedy. Oh, so
That concludes round number 7. There were Since there were no eliminations, we will go right into round number 8 with the same. So you could receive a question from any category.
what luck, Jason? Huh? You know. Okay. Yeah. Let's go here. Okay.
Uriah, your question will be from the U.S. Presidents and World Leaders category. Which world leader from Germany was the main reason World War II broke out?
Adolf Hitler.
That is correct.
What do you say?
Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was the answer. Rochelle, your question. This person spent 27 years in jail in South Africa, but in 1994, he was elected President of South Africa. Who was he? Would you like to guess? The answer is Nelson Mandela. And now a recall that students they are not eliminated until the end of the round and it is declared. So everyone, if you think you are eliminated, please stay close. Tyson, your question. Who led the civil rights movement in the United States? Please speak into the microphone. I can. Martin Luther King Jr. led the civil rights movement in the United States. Miles, your question. This person led India to independence and inspired movements for civil rights and freedom across the world, inspiring Martin Luther King Jr.
Gandhi.
That is correct. Jason, your question. Who was president during World War I? Who was president during World War I?
President George.
It was President Woodrow Wilson. Now, Rochelle, Jason, and Tyson, you were eliminated from this round. However, I want you to stay close after the bee. You three will have a mini bee to determine who will get the third place prize. So let's hear it for those three individuals at this time. So Uriah and Miles will compete for the championship. A reminder, just because one student gets one right and the other gets one wrong, the bee is not over. They will then have to go on for the championship word in the next round. Uriah will start the round, followed by Miles. Yes. We are now entering round number 9. Uriah, your question. What is the supreme law of the land?
The Constitution.
That is correct. And the category on, I apologize, the category on the last question and this question will be civics and government? Civics and government. What do we call the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution? What do we call the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution?
I'm not sure.
Would you like to take a guess?
No, thank you.
The Bill of Rights.
Championship word, or championship question form. So
Uriah will now approach the podium for the championship question. If Uriah gets this correct, he will be our champion. If he does not get it correct, we will go to a round number 10. Your category is Minnesota, U.S., and world history. What was the invention by Eli Whitney that made separating the seed from the cotton much faster, in turn, increasing the need for slaves? What was the invention by Eli Whitney that made separating the seed from the cotton much faster, in turn, increasing the need for slaves?
The steel plow.
It was not the steel plow, it was the cotton gin. We will now go to round number 10. And Uriah will still lead the round, I
Yep.
believe? Yes, yes. So Uriah, we'll have you approach the podium. The category for this question is Minnesota, U.S., and World History. What did the Japanese do on December 7th, 1941 to America? This event led to the United States declaring war on Japan. That is correct. Miles, your question. What was the deal in 1803 that involved the United States, Thomas Jefferson was president, purchasing a large amount of land from the French? What was the deal in 1803 that involved the United States purchasing a large amount of land from the French?
Louisiana Purchase.
That is correct. We will now go on to round 11.
Yeah. Line 12. Yeah. Final.
Uriah, your question. Who is in charge of the executive branch?
The president.
That is correct. Miles, your question. Who is the commander-in-chief of the military?
The President.
That is correct. That concludes round number 12. We will now begin round number 13. The category.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
The category will be Minnesota, U.S., and World History. Uriah, your question. This war was fought between 1914 and 1918. What was the name of the war?
World
World War I is correct. Miles, your question. The worst economic downturn in the history of the industrialized world, lasting from 1929 to 1939. It began after the stock market crashed in October of 1929, which sent Wall Street into a panic and wiped out millions of investors. People were out of jobs. Banks were failing. It was a really tough time. What was this time period called?
The Great Depression.
That is correct. That concludes round number 13.
Yep. Both questions being okay.
Uh,
Yeah, they should. Okay.
Uriah, your question will be in the Minnesota, U.S., and World History category. Your question. Who was the Confederate president during the U.S. Civil War?
General Lee.
I'm sorry, that is not correct. It was Jefferson Davis.
Yeah, 17.
Miles, your question. Germany used their U-boats to sink ships of the Allied powers. What was the British passenger liner that was destroyed in 1917? Germany used their U-boats to sink ships of the Allied powers. What was the British passenger line that was destroyed in 1917?
I don't know the answer to this.
It was Lusitania. Since none of the competitors got an answer right that round, we will start the next round, round number 15, with Uriah.
Yep. So we'll do two. I list the state, they get the category.
The next category will be state capitals. I will list the state, you give the capital. Uriah, your state is New Mexico.
I don't know.
Santa Fe. Miles, your state is Ohio.
Columbus.
That is correct. Miles will now advance to the championship question. The category of your question, Miles, will be U.S. presidents and world leaders. A French military and political leader who rose to prominence during the French Revolution. He was emperor of the French from 1804 until 1814, and again in 1815. Who was he?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. A French military and political leader who rose to prominence during the French Revolution. He was emperor of the French from 1804 until 1814, and again in 1815. Who was he?
King Louis III.
It was not. It was Napoleon Bonaparte. We will now go back to a normal round. This is round, I believe, 16. And Uriah will lead the round. Round number 16 will now begin. And Uriah, your question will be in the Minnesota, U.S., and world history category. Your question. In 1945, what devastated the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
The bombing.
That is an acceptable response.
Yep.
Miles, your question. What is the belief that the United States should own all of the land from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean?
Manifest destiny.
Manifest destiny is correct. That concludes round number 16. We will now go to round 17, the category civics and government. Uriah, your question. I will wait till you.
You guys are doing great.
That's awesome.
Doing good.
Awesome.
You guys did awesome too.
Uriah, your question to start round 17. Once again, the category is civics and government. We elect a U.S. senator for how many years?
4.
It is 6. Miles, you will need to list one of Minnesota's U.S. senators. Who is one of Minnesota's U.S. senators?
I don't know.
The acceptable answers would have been Tina Smith or Amy Klobuchar. We will begin round 18 with Uriah. The category will be civics and government. What are the two parts, you must name both, what are the two parts of the United States Congress?
Legislative and executive.
I'm sorry, it is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Miles, your question. We elect a U.S. representative for how many years?
2 years.
That is correct. Miles will now advance to the championship question.
Yeah, 2 Minnesota, U.S. and world history.
Your category is Minnesota, U.S., and world history.
I think so. You do it.
Your question. What act gave settlers 160 acres of land that if they agreed to live on it for 4 years, oh, excuse me, let me start that over, I misspoke. What act gave settlers 160 acres of land that if they agreed to live on it for 5 years?
I don't know.
It was the Homestead Act. We will now begin a new round with Uriah. I believe round 19. The category will be civics and government. Why do some states have more representatives than others?
The population.
That is correct. Yes, all of the acceptable answers would have been the state's population. Some states have more people than others. And they have more people. Those are the 3 acceptable responses. Miles, your question. If both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
The Speaker of the House.
That is correct. That concludes round number 19.
Back and forth, battle of the Titans.
Round number 20. Civics and government is the category. Uriah, your question. What is the highest court in the United States?
The Supreme Court.
That is correct. The Supreme Court is the answer. Yes, thank you. Miles, how many justices are on the Supreme Court?
7.
There are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. We will now go to Uriah for the championship question.
You want to go 21? That's what you said. Or? I might be able to shoot.
Okay. Your question. On September 11th, 2001, 4 planes were hijacked by terrorists and crashed into various sites throughout the United States. Who was president of the United States on this fateful day? Once again, your question is in the U.S., Minnesota, and world, U.S. presidents and world leaders category. I'll repeat the question. I apologize for that, Uriah. On September 11th, 2001, 4 planes were hijacked by terrorists and crashed into various sites throughout the United States. Who was president of the United States on this fateful day?
George Bush.
That's
Specify.
acceptable.
You can accept
It's
it.
gotta have. It has to be acceptable.
We will accept that. Our champion of the 2021, Uriah Wentz. And let's hear it for our runner-up champion, Miles Kruger. We will give both Uriah and Miles their prize in just a moment, but now we will determine who the 3rd place champion will
You
be.
guys can sit down if you want, where you were, or wherever you want. Good job, you guys.
Sorry, I hesitated.
Oh, that's okay. Well, George
They added-
H.W. Bush,
yeah.
George W. Bush, that's kind of too
That's
technical.
too
Right. You 3.
So Rochelle will lead the round. Jason will close the round.
They're battling for third place.
And now, unlike the championship, if one of you gets it right and the other two get it wrong, that person who's left is the third place winner. So we'll eliminate as we go. If all three of you get it wrong, then we'll just start over with a new round.
This is U.S. President's vote.
U.S. presidents and world leaders is the category. Name the commanding general of the Confederate States Army during the U.S. Civil War.
Robert Lee.
Yes, Robert E. Lee. Tyson, your question. Name the famous Civil War general who became the 18th president of the United States. Ulysses S. Grant is correct. Jason, for your question, you must name two. Name two of the 4 U.S. presidents that were assassinated.
Abraham Lincoln and John Fitzgerald.
Those would be acceptable responses. The other presidents that were assassinated, President McKinley and President Garfield. That concludes the round. We'll go with Rochelle. Yes, please.
I'll give the state, they give the city.
State capitals will be the category. I will give you the state, you give me the city. Your state is Rhode Island.
Providence.
That is correct. Tyson, your state is Utah.
Salt Lake City.
That is correct. Jason, your state is Washington.
Olympia.
That is correct. We'll now begin the next round, starting with Rochelle.
Yeah, that's too hard. They've done these before, so any question on here should be acceptable for them.
Civics and government is the category. Rochelle, your question. What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen?
To give up loyalty to other countries.
To give up loyalty to other countries is an acceptable response. The other responses would be to defend the Constitution and laws of the United States, obey the laws of the United States, serve in the U.S. military if needed, serve the nation, and be loyal to the United States. Tyson, your question.
I think, two. Yep.
Tyson, what is the name of the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States right now?
Nancy Pelosi.
That is correct. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. Jason, your question. Which state has the largest amount of electoral votes for president?
California.
That is correct. We will now begin the next round, starting with Rochelle. Rochelle, your question. What is the fewest number of electoral votes a state can receive?
3.
3 is correct. Tyson, Tyson, yes. As you know, the 2020 census just wrapped up, and the population determines the amount of electoral votes a state receives. Based on the new census, name one state that only receives 3 electoral votes in presidential elections. There are many of them. You must name one. Connecticut is not one of them. The acceptable answers were Alaska, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Vermont, and Delaware. Jason, your question. What is the minimum number of electoral votes needed to be president of the United States?
270.
270 is correct. Let's hear it for Tyson Johnson, our 5th place winner. Rochelle and Jason will now continue to determine who will get the 3rd place champion.
We briefly talked about it. If you equally hard here. All right. World leaders.
The category is U.S. presidents and world leaders for your question, Rochelle. This president is best known as a conservationist and played a huge role in saving the American bison.
Theodore Roosevelt.
That is correct. Jason, your question is also from the U.S. presidents and world leaders category. Oh. Who was the leader of the Soviet Union during World War II? Who was the leader of the Soviet Union during World War II? Who was the leader of the Soviet Union during World War II?
I knew.
The leader of the Soviet Union during World War II was Joseph Stalin. Yep. Let's hear it for Jason Wheelock, our 4th place winner. And let's hear it for Rochelle Elke, our 3rd place champion. Could I have the recipients of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place come to the table at this time? Thank you all for watching and viewing the 2021 Janesville Waldorf Pemberton Social Studies Bee. We'd love to have all of you join us again next year if you are eligible. Thank you, Miles, for representing the 8th grade well. We'll see all of you next time. Thank you. Thank you for all of you at home for joining us.
All right.
Go, Woo!
Thanks for joining. Again, champions Uriah, Miles 2nd, and Rochelle 3rd. Congrats. Good job.
Okay, so, and we're going to have a photo op here in just a moment. Boy, they get it. There you are.